Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. I hope everyone is looking forward to the college football games coming up today. Of course, the NFL season kicked off Thursday night, and let me quickly say that I was on vacation from work this past week. So I watched that game on Thursday night, and I was actually very surprised at how competitive the game was. Now, of course, it's the first game, so you do not want to overreact either direction for either team. But the Bucks were favored by 9.5, and honestly, I thought they would cover it. Now, the Cowboys left 7 points on the field because their kicker missed 2 field goals and an extra point, but I won't hold one field goal against him because it was a 60-yarder, and even though 60-yard field goals are made on occasion, but occasionally don't mean a whole lot, you still don't expect a kicker to make a 60-yard field goal. But the other one he missed was, I think, a 31-yarder. And then he missed the extra point, which, of course, now in the NFL, they're 33 yards, but still, he should have made that. So the Cowboys did leave 4 points on the field, and the Bucks won late in the game with a field goal by the score of 31-29. But I thought the Cowboys looked very good. I think Kellen Moore is a tremendous offensive coordinator, as good as Ezekiel Elliott is. And he's even in better shape now than he was last year. You can look at him and tell he's in better shape. The Bucks took away the running game, but Kellen Moore figured out how to pass the ball successfully, and Dak Prescott looked great. Now, I think he threw 58 passes. I don't think you'll win a lot of games by throwing 58 passes, but with the receiving corps they got, I think if they can throw about 45 passes a game, between 45 and 50, I think they'll be very successful. And there will be times this year that Ezekiel Elliott will be able to run the ball. But a lot of times when a team can't run the ball, the offensive coordinator just struggles to find pass plays that work. But Kellen Moore found a couple that the Bucks just couldn't stop, and he just kept running them. And they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I was impressed by the Cowboys, but of course they are the Cowboys. So there will be one game this year where they'll play somebody that's beneath them, and they will struggle to win the game. But the Bucks did win 31-29 with a late field goal. Was a great way for the NFL to kick off their season. And speaking of the NFL, of course, tomorrow is Week 1 as far as the Sunday action goes. Now, I didn't write down all the games. You can always get on Google if you want to look at a list of all the games. But I am intrigued by the Panthers and the Jets just because it's the Sam Darnold Bowl, because he used to play for the Jets and now he plays for the Panthers. I think he's a step up from Teddy Bridgewater, even though I've always been a big fan of Teddy Bridgewater. But as far as the system that Matt Rule likes to run, I think Sam Darnold fits that system better than Teddy Bridgewater did. So if McCaffrey can stay healthy, I think the Panthers have a chance to have a pretty good season this year. The Jets are still going to, they're still going to be the Jets. And then, has anybody heard about the Baltimore Ravens with their injury problems? This just intrigues me because it's the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my life. In case you haven't heard, back on August 28th, which was the week 0 for college football 2 weeks ago, J.K. Dobbins, who was supposed to be their starting running back, he got injured. He's out for the year. Well, a couple of days later, on September the 2nd, Justice Hill, who was the second string running back that was now supposed to be the starting running back since J.K. Dobbins got hurt, he got hurt. He's out for the year. Well, this past either Tuesday or Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday, they had another injury. And this time it was to the third string running back, whose name was Gus Edwards. they were trying to use the old Auburn head coach Gus Malzahn's slogan and call him the Gus Bus, since it looked like he was going to be their starting running back. Well, he got hurt, and he's out for the year. Well, they started back practice, and on the very next play, cornerback Marcus Peters got hurt. He's out for the year. Now, this happened on back-to-back plays. So after Gus Edwards got hurt and Marcus Peters got hurt, the Ravens said, you know what, maybe we need to just stop practice. So the Ravens just stopped practice. Now, nobody has been hurt since then. There have been rumors that they were going to sign a couple of running backs to take the place of Hill and Dobbins and Edwards, but I don't know if any of them are official yet. They probably will end up signing former Falcons running back Devontae Freeman, and they'll probably end up signing former Saints running back Latavius Murray. But a lot of people have the Ravens as a dark horse pick for the Super Bowl. Not me. I'm not in that camp. Until Lamar Jackson proves he can throw the ball consistently, I won't be in that camp. I'm a huge fan of Lamar Jackson. He is exciting to watch. But so far in the NFL, he's done great in the regular season. But then when the playoffs come around, whoever they play, their defense takes away Lamar Jackson's legs and makes him throw. And he's having to throw 45, 50 times a game in the playoffs. And so far, he just hasn't been a consistent enough thrower to win a game. So until Lamar shows me he can throw the ball consistently when he has to throw, I'm not on the Ravens camp, but a lot of people are. But I just thought it was strange that they've lost 3 running backs, and then they lost a running back and a cornerback on back-to-back plays, either Tuesday or Wednesday in practice, and then just said, you know what, we need to just shut practice down, because that's very, very strange. But this day and time, running backs aren't used like they used to be. So I think the Marcus Peters injury at cornerback actually hurts them more than Edwards or Dobbins or Hill. But still, 3 running backs all getting hurt, all 3 being out for the year, is just something that you just do not see ever. Now, maybe 1 or 2, but not all 3. And, of course, the Bears kick off their season, and, of course, Andy Dalton is their starter. A lot of people feel like Justin Fields should be their starter already, even if he's not ready, because Andy Dalton's had a long career. He had some good years with the Bengals, but last year with the Cowboys, you could tell he's still decent, but he's not the quarterback he used to be. He's reached his peak. He's not going to get any better. So if he's not going to get any better, go ahead and go to Justin Fields and let him get better. But the Bears have decided to give Dalton the start. Now, of course, if they get off to a hot start, he may start all year long. But if they start out, 0-3, 0-4, 1-4, something like that, it wouldn't surprise me to see them go to Justin Fields. Now, of course, they actually have a bye week at a great time. If I'm not mistaken, their bye week comes in week 9, which means they'll play 8 games, have a bye week, and play 8 games. And if I'm correct, and their bye week is in week number 9, I didn't write that down. I'm just going by memorization. If they get through week 8 and they're 2-6 or 3-5, then they'll probably go ahead and come back from their bye week with Justin Fields. But if they get to their bye week and they're 5-3 or even 4-4, then they may stick with Andy Dalton all year long. But, it's makes you curious, because if you recall, the Bears are the ones that drafted Mitch Trubisky a few years back, even though everybody in the world said Mitch Trubisky sucks. The Bears went ahead and drafted him, and they've screwed up their last 3 years because of the fact Trubisky could not play. So let's hope they don't stick with Dalton too long and mess this up too, but it wouldn't surprise me to see Justin Fields be their starter by the middle of the season. But I do think he'll be the starter sometime this year, because when they get to their bye week, I don't think they'll be 5-3 or 6-2. I think they'll be 4-4 or 3-5. That's just my prediction. And of course, Michael Thomas of the Saints, who used to be a great receiver, and he still is a great receiver, but I think he's turned into more of a prima donna because he had to have surgery, and he could have had this surgery back in like February or March, as soon as last season ended, but instead he waited till June to have the surgery, and now he's going to be out I think probably about the first half of the season. So it just shows that Michael Thomas is just trying to draw attention instead of having the surgery and coming back by the start of the season. You wait until June or July when it's almost time to start summer practice and all that kind of good stuff, and then you have your surgery so that everybody can talk about how you're out when the season starts. So I think Michael Thomas is turning in more of a prima donna, but he's actually a very talented receiver. And as far as college football goes, I'll mention this just to see if anybody has any comments on it. But supposedly, JT Daniels, I'm not sure if he's out or not. I read an article that said he was out, and I saw a video that said he was out, and then I read an article that said he was questionable. So I'm really not sure if he's just doubtful or questionable or out. But JT Daniels is not healthy, which if you follow his career, that should not be a surprise. But Carson Beck will more than likely get the start if he doesn't play. But of course, they're playing UAB. They could beat UAB if they brought back Joe Tereshinski, so it doesn't matter. But Carson Beck will probably get the start, but even if they go with Stetson Bennett, it doesn't matter. I'm just wondering if any Georgia fans are excited about watching Carson Beck play if he does get the start and if he does play for a long period of time, because he's always had a lot of hype behind him, but until he actually plays for a long period of time, you don't know whether or not that hype is, significant. Does the hype mean anything, or is he going to be another one of these players that has all the hype, but then when he plays, he's just not any good? But of course, it's UAB, but Carson Beck doesn't have a lot of playing experience, so it's one of those things where probably he's going to play, and he'll probably struggle because of the fact he hasn't played a whole lot. And even though if he struggles, they'll still win, you're going to have some Georgia fans saying, well, no wonder he don't play. He ain't any good. He's terrible. But if he goes out there and he doesn't struggle and he's great, then you're going to have Georgia fans say, man, he needs to be our starter. This kid's great. But it's UAB, so you shouldn't put any stock into it if he does do great. But you also shouldn't stress out too much if he struggles, because he hasn't had a lot of playing time. But I want to see how good he is if he does start and play for a long period of time, only because of the fact Georgia has some great quarterbacks coming in, and if the quarterbacks coming in are as good as advertised, then Carson Beck may be the odd man out, and he may end up transferring just because there's not a lot of room for him to play. You can't have 5 quarterbacks on your roster. That's just too many quarterbacks. So I am curious, if you're a Georgia fan, are you excited about Carson Beck, or would you just rather go with Stetson Bennett and get the win because of the fact it is UAB? And of course, even better news for Georgia is you have South Carolina next week, and you have Vanderbilt in 2 weeks, and those are 2 more games you could win even if you had Stetson Bennett at quarterback. You could bring back Joe Cox, and you could beat South Carolina, and you could beat Vanderbilt. You could bring back Corey Phillips, and you could beat South Carolina, and you could beat Vanderbilt. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. What's the difference between Iron Man and Aluminum Man? Iron Man stops the bad guys. Aluminum Man just foils their plans. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.